Good evening, everyone. Welcome to MBA Karo. Today there were uh, three examinations, and one of the examination which was conducted in the morning was MICAT. I appeared on the examination, and since I had to appear on another examination in the evening, now we are going to have that analysis session. Although I did a first cut analysis describing how the examination was, and if one has written both the tests, would agree that it was at par with MyCat 1, right? It was of similar difficulty level. And I did not find much difference. That is one good thing about MyCat, unlike some examinations like SNAP, where the difficulty level varies a lot. Here, the difficulty was almost equal to what was in uh, MyCat 1, right? This is what we noticed. Hey, are we live now? Or is it still okay? I think now we are live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to MBA Karo. My cat 2 was held today in the morning, and we did a brief analysis post examination in which I discussed the overview of the exam. And in this case, we are going to discuss the questions as well. If you appeared on MyCat 1 or MyCat 2 both, yes, I agree that GK was more difficult than MyCat 1. I found GK in MyCat 2 more difficult as compared to MyCat 1. Other sections I would say were at par, and probably some students would be better prepared for MyCat 2 than MyCat 1, because when MyCat 1 happens, it is in the month of December. People are lesser prepared, they have less idea about the examination, and MyCat 2 is taken more seriously, and people get time to prepare. Plus, like if they get the relevant content, right, they do prepare for MyCat too. So I believe they would be better prepared for other sections. But yes, I agree that GK's part was difficult this time as compared to the previous one. We will be discussing this MyCat 2 analysis, and discussing some of the questions as well. If you are new to the channel, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We are the best content provider for all MBA entrance examinations. So this is the structure of the examination. 150 questions in psychometric, 4 descriptive test, then aptitude test with 70 questions to be done in 80 minutes. Now, coming to the psychometric test, it is the same, right? Like it has the same number of questions every time. In fact, the questions are also same, right? If you happen to appear on MyCat 1, right, and like I've been appearing for multiple years, so I remember that all questions are exactly the same. Okay, it must be like maybe 10 or 20 questions could differ from the previous one, but mostly it is the same. Like I was awarded extra marks for being creative in the school, right? As my parents used to uh, appreciate my creativity, something that kind of questions. Okay, so I remember that most of the questions are almost the same. So it is exactly the same set of questions. So there were 117 questions with ordinal options, 33 questions with binary true false based situation based questions. Now, there is nothing right or wrong in that, and how it is evaluated, you must better understand through some certified psychologists. They would be able to tell it better that how do they actually evaluate it. It is just that as a normal person, you will say that it gets cleared. Okay, you just need to be consistent. That's what we say, but there is some scoring pattern as well. Okay, so they have different categories and they assign weights to different categories, and they look for some personality fit, okay, which nobody is aware of. Now, talking about the descriptive part, right? It has like 4 questions, 10 marks, 10 marks, 20 marks, and 30 marks. The topic for the essay was chaos beats creativity. You had to write 3 points for, 3 points against, and three ways in which managers can promote chaos to make their team more effective. So these were the 3 pointers. Probably you could have used some of the questions from psychometric test were on similar lines, like you like chaos, like they generate more ideas. So I got some idea from that point and wrote some points there. And then there were uh, the question on basically garlic. Oh, it is like I just interpreted it garlic. It could be anything, right? It was some veggies, like I would say that vegetables, or like I thought it to be garlic because it looked white to me, right? I thought it was garlic, so it could be anything. So there was an image of lawn in front of a house. There was boy sitting on a chair. There was some dish kept on the table. Okay, so like some orange gravy, or it was not clear. The images are not very crisp. There were some rocks assembled in some random shape, and a man and a woman, they were carrying some garlic or some veggies on a mini truck. So these were the four images. You had to connect them and create a story. So it is all about creativity. How do you create them? Now, coming to the aptitude part, in verbal ability, you had 20 questions. There was one RC on use of economics and psychology. Okay, I would rate that as difficult. The questions, I mean, reading wise also, it was like typical that cat, that kind of passage. And like the questions were difficult, right? Critical reasoning based questions, and there were some questions which had tough options and double negative. So all in all, it was a difficult thing to attempt in the paper. Then there was one question on phrase replacement. There was one question on sentence filler, like you have in cat, right? They give you a sentence and a paragraph and ask you that where will the sentence fit. Then one question on parajumbles, one on odd one out. There was sentence fillers with four blanks. One of them was idiom based. Rest were like some verb based, or like vocab and typical grammar based questions. Okay, so six questions on sentence fillers. Two questions on critical reasoning, some inference and all. There was some short passage. I think both were from the same passage. One question on para summary, one word substitution. There were a couple of questions on this theme as well. So this was the VA part. I would say that an attempt of 6 to 7 questions could be a good attempt in this section. Like if you are able to attempt 6 to 7 questions, I guess very few people must have been able to attempt the RC. Okay, and yeah, some people might have done above 10 also, but 6 to 7 is a decent attempt in this section considering the difficulty level of the section. Q and DI one DI said that was just insane. Okay, so it was some like China and one other country, Bhutan, they had given the tea production, that was bar graph, then pie chart, that had given the percentage of exports, and that was in degrees, right? And then they had given that per capita consumption. So using that one, I had to find the population. So a very difficult set. Obviously something that had to be uh, avoided, right? Then arithmetic had 7 8 questions. Some of the questions were doable, some were quite difficult. Geometry mensuration, few questions on that as well, a couple of questions on heights and distances. Okay, and like that was the case. DI said, like by looking itself, one should leave it. I mean, if you were trying to attempt the set, that was a foolish thing to do, because once you see three graphs, you do not have to do any calculation. Just see the intensity. They have said that this is the tea production, fine. Then tea distribution, and that too in degrees which were not integer values. It was not like 20 degrees, like 36 degree, which is 10%, 54 degrees or 15%. It was like some, even in degrees, it was up to two decimal places, right? So it was a very difficult set that was completely to be avoided. So I would rate the difficulty level of quant increased this time a bit because of the DI part. Anyway, in the previous case also, many people wouldn't have touched the DI set. Then arithmetic had some questions, geometry mensuration. There were 2 3 questions on modern math. I did not find anything specifically on algebra. Okay, and yes, there was one question on numbers as well. A calculator is there, but you will have to make a very large table, right? So they had 6 years, two countries, so 12 values you have to put for the production, right? Then 12 values you have to calculate for the export, then subtract, you will get 12 values for consumption, and then you divide by the per capita consumption to get the population. So it was just something worth skipping in the examination. There was one question on numbers also, that was a doable one which I figured out, and this was the distribution. So in Quant and DI, an attempt of around 5 to 6 can be considered as a very good attempt given the difficulty level of the paper. So if someone has happened to cross this 5 questions also, agar koi karke aa gaya, that is a very good attempt. Okay, 5 questions. Like in this case, like if you're trying to uh, increase your score, right? So that was about the Q and DI part. Now, divergent and convergent thinking, this was the scoring section. And if someone happened to watch my video last night, which I created on how to attempt MICAT, how to maximize the score, this was the section in which you could exploit maximum marks, right? So if you attempt, let us say there were a lot of questions on these, and these were easy questions. Coding, decoding, and number based were the easiest questions in the paper. So I specifically pointed out that please do attempt those questions. They were very easy, like plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 minus plus 3 minus 3. I mean, those were the kind of logics. If one is good with alphanumerical reasoning, could have done this well. So at least someone could have attempted 7 to 8 questions out of this. If all, I think there were 9 questions or so. There were a couple of questions on word associations that were difficult. There were 2 questions on arrangement. One could have, like, if someone did not attend much of quant, could have attempted those questions individually. Blood relations coded doable questions. If one read the instructions properly, could have done those. Okay. Direction and distance. That question was erroneous, right? Did you find the error in this question? The answer was root 52, not in options. I don't know what happens to it because they do not release any response sheet or something. How questions are challenged over there? But like if someone happens to know there, I mean, maybe the admission cell of MICAT, you can tell them that there was one question which had error. So obviously people must have wasted time on that, and this was a tough paper, right? Wherein you do not have time, much time for attempting the questions. So there was error in this. There were a couple of questions on visual reasoning, doable, conditional logic based one question, and one was on syllogism. That was a doable one. Okay, so somewhere around like 9, 10 would be a decent attempt in this section. Okay, so that is about the divergent and convergent thinking. General awareness, there were a few questions on match the following, 3 questions. One was tagline, one was logo. And logo, surprisingly, if you remember our first class, not yesterday's, before MyCat 1, we had taken a session in which I had discussed the logo of Cisco. Okay, and it was asked this time. Last time, that time in that video, I had taken up the logo of sale. वो सेल का लोगो लास्ट टाइम आया था और आज सिस्को का आया था. सो एनीवे, सिस्को लोगो इज वेरी कॉमन एंड लोगो बेस्ड क्वेश्चन आई थिंक एवरीवन must have done it, right? So that typically is the general awareness. I found it a bit difficult as compared to previous occasion. I don't know, that could be my personal bias, uh, but that's subjective. GK is very subjective, right? So you can't say, like, for me it was tough. Maybe for someone else it would have been easy, because not many people said that the GK was tough, but I personally believed it was tough. The kind of questions they were asking, like some Maharatan, Mini Ratan, right? I had no idea about it. The statements like ILO, IAEA, NATO, that way some statements difficult. I mean, I did not know those. Then Flipkart has which all acquisitions. So I mean, you did not know all of those, right? So in my but some people who might be well versed with general awareness, I mean, better prepared, could have found it doable as well. Okay, so there is no normalization in that. Okay, so there is no normalization, but overall I believe the papers are on similar lines. Maybe that's a personal bias of about the general awareness, but other sections, divergent and convergent, was easier this time, right? And uh, uh, like uh, people could have scored on similar lines. Okay, now if we talk about the selection criteria, MyCat has 25% weight in this, so your cats at GMAT score will matter. Okay, and let's say if you have typically you need 85 plus percentile, right? If you are in early 80s, you have very bleak chances. Mostly people who convert are above this range itself, so they do not explicitly mention, right? Because if let's say if they start telling that this is the exact cutoff, then probably fewer people will write, right? So people do write with lesser percentile also, but typically you get calls at above this. Okay, and then if you talk about the weight of cats at GMAT, that is 35%. So it has increased from last year. Plus, they've introduced these 10th, 12th, and extracurricular activities. So that would give benefit to some people. 25% is my cat score. So it holds a value. So there are various components, right? So if your cat ZAT score is decent, plus you have done well on my cat today, then you stand a good chance. You need to do well on GE and PI to convert it. Okay. Now, if we talk about good score, I would say that 12 around could be a good score. 12 with if you have a decent percentile in CAT ZAT, right, your scores are high, then at 12 or 13 could be sufficient to get a call, interview call. And if your score is on the lower side, maybe 15 plus in aptitude, because there are sectional cutoffs also. It is unclear that what are the sectional cutoffs, but definitely if you get negative marks, because in the past I've seen people who had decent marks but had negative scores in one of the sections, and I don't know if it is zero or it is a positive score. Okay, that is still not clear. So negative definitely gets eliminated. So if you have happen to have like some sectional score in all sections plus overall these much score, you could consider that okay, you would be able to clear the cutoffs. So mid February they release the scorecards and the calls as well. So you'll get to know soon. Okay. All right, so let us see the questions. Logos of Salesforce, Marlboro, Tommy Hilfiger, Cisco was asked. I think this most of the people would have been able to do it. जिनने नहीं भी पढ़ा होगा, Tommy Hilfiger का logo सबको पता रहता है. Cisco is also easy, that that signals, right? So I believe most of the people must have been able to get this one correct. Salesforce का भी that cloud based, that cloud shape, right? So I believe many of the people would have been able to do this. This was a tricky question. I mean, since these brand ambassadors like keep changing, and it's what I believe that it was a tough one, because like not everyone knows all these, right? Then there was tagline based. This was tagline. This was brand ambassador. So it was typical MyCat type questions. Okay, I didn't get the there was one that was कौन सा that the telegraph, right? What I found as on internet was different from what was given in the options. However, if someone managed to match the other three, could have done it. I knew only that Indian Express tagline, ठीक है, मुझे Indian Express पता था, journalism of courage. There were two options, I don't know which one I marked. Okay, then there were Flipkart acquisitions. So these are the four acquisitions that they have. Okay, these were the ones they had given eight, and you had to tell which four are their acquisitions. Then there was some question on Mini Ratna, Maharatna, and Navaratna. I think there was some profit for continuous years, and some value of net worth was given. Some question like that. They had asked which of the Ratna companies is that, and in that also there was some category one, category two. Then there was one statement related to sports. Which of the following statements is not true? In that, the statement which was not true was Wasim Akram has the highest. I found this question also something, some issue with that question. I think there was not, like this was statement A. B and C were correct. D, there was no option, only A. Okay, so I marked A and D because one was Carlson. Carlson is from Norway, that was correct, and another uh, uh, swimmer from Poland, right? So that was also correct, and this was wrong, and I don't know what would be the answer to this question. And there were some others also, like some questions on G7, some ILO. That I don't recall. Some statements were given there. Okay, so GK, like if someone had attempted uh, 2 to 3 marks, that would be good enough, because I don't think people would have been able to score much higher this time as compared to the previous attempt. That was my personal bias, could be different from others. Now let us see the questions that were asked in the examination, right? So there's one question on geometry. I'm discussing the questions which I attempted. Okay, so you can tell other answers as well if you attempted some more questions, and we can tally with others, because probably someone else definitely must have attempted this. So please do share this session with others who appeared on MyCat in some groups which you are part of, so that they can also watch this video and contribute to the answers. Because see, this is the triangle 12, 16, 20. So Pythagorean triple, right? So this side will be 9.6. This so this is the radius. Okay, so this will be also 9.6. This is 6.4, and this will be 2.4. So the answer was 3:8. Now if someone is good with geometry, could have done this question. मतलब जिसने CAT ZAT के लिए preparation की होगी, right, could have done this question. 3:8 was the answer to this question. Then there was another question which was time speed distance question. ठीक है, since it was calculation intensive, I avoided it. So a person takes 6 hours from 4 to 10, and another person starts at 6, right, and his speed is 85.4%. Okay, the question was, at what time will they meet? I did not attempt this question because of calculation intensity, and the options were closed, right? So I avoided this, right? And then there was one question on 9830, then 4840, no, 4840. Yes, and the total was 13B70. It was divisible by 11. Okay, then there was some like I think C was 9 into 8 into 7. How, I don't recall now. Okay, so A, so if we got A is equal to 1, B is equal to 9, right? Using this condition that it is divisible by 7, so B will be 9, because this is 10, and you need to make 10, B should be 9, and if B is 9, A will be 1. So C was 504. Then uh, like this total A plus B plus C, right? And uh, some question, I don't recall the question exactly, but the answers was 90, 104, 20, and 300. Was this the answer to this question? Some condition was given that one part -4, another part plus 10, another part into 5, another part divided by 3, some sort of this kind of a question, right? So this was the answer to this question. One answer is 3:8. Okay, meeting time, are you sure? 7:31 and 32. Okay, rough estimate करके कर लेते हैं. So this person will take 5 hours approximately. ठीक है. So let us say the person reaches at 11. ठीक है. So I'm doing rough approximation 6 and 5. Let the distance be 30. ठीक है. एक rough estimate ले लेते हैं. If the answer comes close, probably we will mark that as the answer. Uh, 30 distance left, so it starts at 4, reaches at 10, it starts at 6. So till 6 it has covered. Its speed is 5, its speed is 6. right? Till 6 it has covered 10 kilometers, so the remaining distance is 20 kilometers, right? And their total speed is 11, so 20 by 11 is somewhere 1.8 hours. Okay, 1.8, 6.6 plus 1.8, that is 748. So around, roughly around 750 would be the answer. And there was one option. I mean, there were two options. One was 751, 752, and somewhat close. So around 750 would be the answer. Like there were too close. The options were too close, so that's why I avoided this question. Okay. So don't know exact value, will use calculator to do it. Then there was one question on heights and distances, which said that there is one mother and her daughter. Okay, the height of the mother was given as 1.8 meters. This was given that 1.5 meters, and something was given that their heights are in GP. Okay, their heights are in GP, and the total height is given. Like, so I'll put the final answer. I don't recall all the statements. So the question was, what is the distance between mother and daughter? So this is the mother, this is the daughter, and their shadow is on the same point, right? So the answer was 0.75 meters. Okay, so the answer was 0.75 meters. Did anyone attempt this question? If yes, the answer is 0.75. I don't recall, like I just put uh, the data here, not written the entire question. What I remember was the mother's height was given, this distance was given, and something was given in GP. Okay, and then average was given. I think average height or like arithmetic mean of the heights, something like this was given. So this is one of the answers. Then there was one question on SICI. I tried solving it, could not solve it, so I left that question. ठीक है, उसमें कुछ था कि if it is half yearly, right, compound interest is simple interest plus 20, right? And if it is at r percent, the rate was given as r percent. And if you put for annual, you get 2080. Okay, I marked 50,000, like assuming that the principal would be a very large number, okay, not a very small one. So uh, don't know the answer, like, but uh, this was one of the questions. So exactly don't remember uh, the question, right? I also marked 50,000 just because I felt the number would be a big number, right? Then there was one question on uh, another question which there was some height of object. I think why I was getting wrong, was it 240? I was not getting those questions were close to one, the options were close to 150, so I skipped that. I was getting 120 root 3 for that. Then there was permutation combination question. Uska answer ये होगा, that alphabet based. Okay, because the thing was, the repetition was the repetition in numbers was not allowed. ठीक है, ये digits के बनेंगे, digits में no repetition was there. And in this you can have repetition, nothing was given about the alphabets, right? So alphabets will obviously be that like you can use 26, 26, 26 three times, so it will be 26 cube. And then there was, like, you can have two things like number alphabet, number alphabet number alphabet, or you can have alphabet number alphabet number alphabet number, right? And within this you will have six ways of arrangement, right? So three and three, six ways of arrangement. So 6 into 2, 12, and then 26 cube. So that's how I got this as the answer. Okay, now next question was another question was time and work. There were a couple of questions on time and work. One of the answers was 9 4 by 11. Basically 103 by 11 aa raha tha. So it was given in fractions, mixed fractions. So that was the answer. Okay, so Then there was mixture based questions which said that 192 liter is the content, right? So milk and water was 3 ratio 1, right? So from that some portion is removed, right? And then you add 80 liter, in which 3 ratio 2 is milk ratio water. So final contains 30% water, right? How many of you attempted this question? ये तो यार देखो, like if you have prepared for cat, this you should have. uh, Standard deviation, I did not attempt that question because I mean, like I skipped that question. Standard deviation, I did not attempt the question. Final 30%, this answer was 32 liters. Okay, so the answer to this question was 32 liters. Then another question, work on ABC. A, B, and C, there are three people. So it said that B is 4 hours faster. So the answer to this question was 8. You were getting 12, 8, and 4.8. Okay, so the answer was 8. It said that A plus B take the same amount time as C. A takes 4 hours more. Okay, so it says uh, 4 are less than A. So I did this by options, and 3 1 by 5 hours more than C. So that was the condition given, and one had to, and it was given that the time taken by A plus B combined is equal to the time taken by C alone to finish the work. Okay, so I did this by options, by putting the options, since there were only four options. So got the answer as 8. Okay, so these are some of the answers which I attempted. You can tally them, and uh, like I think there are 4 or 5 questions that were doable in this. Okay, that was the answers. Okay, now divergent and convergent thinking. Let us discuss those answers. One of the answers was incorrect. Directions wala jo tha answer. It should have been root 52, but it was not given in the options. Okay, the options were root 55, root 45 was one of the options, 6.5, and one of was, I think, 15 or something. Okay, so I mean, none of these were given in the options, so that was incorrect question. I don't know how to raise objection for that, but that was definitely something in an examination where even getting one question correct is a big challenge. So it was not anticipated from such an examination. Overall, it create a very good paper, but this was a shocker. Then there was one question on like something like this, ZMB. This may match the following tha. It was easy one. ZM13 YL12, right? So it was related to this, and XK11 WJ10. So basically, -1, right? And -1 from this as well. And this is the numerical equivalent of this letter. So X -1 is W, K -1 is J, and numerical equivalent of K is 11. So it was easy match the following. I guess if you were able to figure out the pattern, you would have matched those correctly, right? So that was the answer to one of the questions. I mean, that was match the following. Then there was another one, match this coding based AKVFOY, right? I'll tell the logic also. And then they had given this analogy OPSTTV. Okay, so the logic was 543. Okay, logic the 543. First was increasing by 5, and next one increasing by 4, third one increasing by 3. So you would have, even if you did not know the I mean, do not recall the answer, you will be able to figure out कि एक question ऐसा था जिसमें 5 4 और 3 से बड़ा था, easy logic to figure out. So that's why, like I told you that divergent and convergent thinking is the best section in this examination. If you have to score, please attempt such questions in the examination. That is the most scoring. Most of the questions were very easy, I mean, compared to the overall paper. Like, I'm not saying that ki overall easy paper hai, but this part compared to those lengthy insane quant questions or others would have been a doable factor. Okay, then there was something like MJI QQE something like this. Okay, so इसका लॉजिक ये बन रहा था +4 for the first one, +4 for the second one, right? So +4 here, and then J, Q, and J. So first and third are the same, right? In the central one you increase, and this was -4 and -4. So +4 and then -4 -4, +4 +4 -4 -4, and this is something plus, let us say you can call plus x then minus x, so that it returns to the same letter. So something like that was there. Again, people could have done this question. Okay, then you had a question of this kind, which was like EQUAT, right, is GOWCR. So they had given two examples, right? This was one of the examples, and you had to find the code for cause. So I have not written the second word. That was, I think, board. So इसमें क्या करना था? Like it was basically reverse. These three will go as it is. E will go to the end, and T will go to the sorry, E goes to the last. These two will swap the positions, and you had to add 2 or subtract 2 from each of these. That was the logic. Okay, so cos, what will happen is E and C will come here, right, and AUS will remain as it is, and we had to, नहीं इसमें नहीं था, वो किसी और में था, लाइक -2, इसमें आई थिंक डायरेक्ट -2 था. नहीं इसमें नहीं था वो, दैट वाज अ डिफरेंट क्वेश्चन इन विच यू हैड टू चेंज द लास्ट, right? So it was direct one. Okay, so it was +2 +2 +2 -2 +2 +2 and -2. So that was the logic. Okay, so this was the answer was A, C, W, Q, G, something. That was the answer. So plus minus something one had to do like this. Okay, so that was one of the questions. Then one blood relation question. There were two coded blood relation questions. In one blood relation questions, the answer was mother's father, in which you had to draw the family tree. The answer was mother's father. Then there was another question, like I don't know how many of you attempted this question, because it was logic was simple, but it required good calculation, right? So the logic was like 17 ratio 274, right? Then the logic was 29 ratio 89814. So if you take 17 square, it is equal to 289. Okay. Now if you subtract 15 from it, you will get 274. Now 29 square is 841 minus 27 is equal to 814. So basically the logic was n square minus n minus 2, right? So that was the logic for this. Okay, so then it was a difficult one because you had to see all the options, right? So I got the answer as 127 ratio 16004. Did you get this answer? How many of you attempted this question? They have subsectional cutoff, but it is not known. Nobody knows what the subsectional cutoffs are. Okay, so this was one of the answers. Okay, so let's see. Then one more question, which was on like I did not attempt circular and circular reasoning. One was circular and one was floor based. I did not attempt those. So if someone happens to know those answers, tell me. One of the series, yes, this was one of the questions 36, 125, 254. Okay, so 243, 64, and 1. It had asked the wrong number, that is 254. It was basically 8 raised to the power, 7 raised to the power 1, 6 square, 5 to the power 3, 4 to the power 4, 3 to the power 5, 2 to the power 6, 1 to the power 7. So that was the logic. Okay, so it should have been 256. Okay, so that was the answer 254. Another one which I was saying कि जिसमें swap करना था, that was this. Show it was coded as FLSIW. So in this, what they had done was S and W they had exchanged, right? So plus 4 goes to the end, and B plus 4 becomes the first letter. These three will remain as it is, and it will increase by 4 each, right? So that logic. The word given was Ropek. Okay, so you will take C at the beginning, R here, and OPE same. Then add 4 to each of those. So it will be GSTIV. So that was one of the coding based questions. So all these coding based questions were doable. I believe most of them, like if you happen to give at least 30 minutes to this uh, thing, you would have done that. One word match. I did not attempt any of those. Okay, one I marked a dream. I don't know if that is correct. Dream, goal, team, day. One word was like I will write those words. Goal, team, day and days. Okay, so there was some sport and thing like I marked dream as the answer, so it could be wrong also. I mean, I don't know that what is the answer. One word was dream, another you had to match that, right? I marked dream, another word was game or sport there. So don't know which was the matching one. Okay, I marked dream because you have basically uh, like I felt that dream team is a word. Okay, dream goal could be, let us say, if a player is playing. I mean, that I did not find any relation. But daydreaming is a word. Days means that if there is some sort of hallucination or some where in the situation in which you cannot think clearly, so could be a synonym sort of word. And dream goal, I just thought of like could be like, let's say if a player is playing and that could be a dream goal, right? Let's say in a spatial game or so. So I marked dream as the answer. Don't know if that is correct. Second question I found very tricky. I did not attempt that. I have written the words though. Okay, the words were this has 8 options. Yes, 8 options there. So I marked dream. I don't know if that is correct or not. So then another one was like this: ship, fish, splash, and wash. Right? And one had to match with spread, meal, coaster, dry, and shelter. Okay, I was thinking of water. Water would relate to all these. but didn't get that which word in this column would match with the word here. Your dream should be your goal. Okay, yeah, that could be metaphorically, it could be related. Yeah, so word association I found was difficult. I mean, there were eight options here, but these kind of questions, this was calculation intensive, but this was easy. This was easy, and the others that we discussed here were all easy. Like ye tha, blood relation also one could have done. Direction was incorrect. Otherwise, rest of the questions were I found that they were quite easy. Like +5, +4, -3. That was like one could have easily done those and scored decently in this section. Okay, so that was the paper. Okay, and one coded blood relation was we discussed the answer that it was mother's father. Another was that which of the following establishes that is the son, right? I mean, I have not written that, but that was also doable. You had to check options and do it. Okay. All right. So these were the answers like to some of the questions anyway, like there is no response sheet and all, so it was just the momentarily thing that you wish to uh, know what the answers are. Now if I talk about the good syllogism, I remember the answer. Syllogism ka answer tha 1 and 4. Answer was 1 and 4. Okay, I have not drawn the diagram in this sheet, did it in another sheet, but the answer was 1 and 4. 1 and 4 followed. Okay, so that was uh, this one. Okay. All right. So, like if I talk about the good score, so somewhere around 12, if you have great CAT ZAT score, and if you have average, 15 would suffice. They take better of the two scores. I guess my CAT 1, although almost similar, uh, maybe GK I found a bit tough. But GK is again a very subjective thing. It depends on what you read. Right. Last time the questions again, if I remember, were bit more doable. Like people could have scored fewer, like 1 or 2 mark ka difference GK create kar sakta. That's it. I feel Quant was again difficult on both occasions, equally difficult. Verbal also similar lines. Divergent and convergent thinking, a question ka difference ho gaya. So some people might have wasted time on that directions question. But it was somewhat similar. But yes, this time people are more prepared as well, so they tend to score better. Okay, so TSD 750-51. I did not solve it, but yes, it is going to be close to that answer only. So it was challenging. Quant DI was insane. If someone dared to attempt that, that was a foolish step in the examination. Okay, so that were the answers that we discussed. So wait for the scorecard and then subsequent steps. Okay, so that is what the examination was. So thanks for watching this analysis video, and don't forget to like this video. And in case you know someone who is preparing for CAT 2025 and OMETS, you can recommend our course. Like it has quality content at a very affordable price, and one can enroll in section wise modules as well. Okay, so this is the analysis for the examination, and the ones who did well on the examination, congratulations, and hope our content must have helped you, especially our mock test, which we got feedback from a lot of students that it was the only mock which was closer to the actual examination, right? In terms of the kind of questions we had included, those kind of questions also, like with 8 options plus the questions that involved EDM based match the following. Okay, so we did and quant again, we had lengthy calculation based quant, so everything was present in that. So that would have given you a good preparation for the examination. You would have understood that how to prepare, and definitely yesterday also uh, I created a video in which I told ki divergent and convergent thinking is the most scoring part. So one should have ideally attempted a good chunk of questions from there. Okay, so thanks everyone for watching this video. Have a great day ahead. Goodbye.